Heyo, Omni Dogs and Omni Kittens. It's Omni Dog, Omni Dog's Vault, with my good buddy, Chat Omni Dog, also known as ETL. How's it going, buddy?
I'm good. Welcome back to the what's our new title? The #1 rated Ultimate Spider-Man review show that's been on hiatus for more than 3 months. That is our new category of #1.
We have had a bit of a gap.
I get tired of people on the street. Not that I go on the street, but if I was on the street, I'm sure they'd bug me about, there's my dog. They'd bug me about why we're not doing our show. We do sometimes get bugged periodically in the Omni Bros shows about where's the Spider-Man show. So that is flattering. It's nice to be back. We did take a big break. I read this Spider-Man run this book twice because I read it back in March when we're going to go, and then I just reread it. And I'll be honest,
we were going to do this last is March, and now
March.
It's July.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So. Well, we can get on. We're both feeling better. We both can get on a more of a regular schedule now.
Yes. So now we can literally probably make time to read 5 to 7 comic books and talk about that once a week. Read 1 trade paperback a week, and come back for the people.
That's doable for the people. That's doable. That's doable.
So we read Public Scrutiny.
Yes,
I have a trade paperback. Now I'm into the thin trade paperbacks.
I have this form.
Yeah, you have the pretty one. This is issues 28 through 32. We're gonna hit Venom next. I'll be honest. This is probably my least. I thought this was kind of the weakest of the 32 issues we read. I mean, so here, God, I just read it, so now I'm trying to remember. The first issue is amazing. It's Mary Jane brings Peter into the classroom, and they show that Rhino. Oh, and I meant to bring it. I looked up the old Rhino from the non-Ultimate universe.
The one in number 41.
Yes, exactly. So there's the Rhino in the Ultimate Universe. He is a guy in a big suit.
Big mechanized armor.
Yeah, but that whole issue is cool because we see rhinos attacking in Manhattan. And so Mary Jane tells Peter that he should go. And then Peter can't get out of high school. He gets brought back in. Aunt May is there. She's having a meeting with his math teacher. He eventually, in that last several pages or a few pages, I mean, it's very well done. And then he goes out and then he finds Gwen Stacy crying by the dumpsters, which is gross. But when emotions hit you, they hit you, right? And there's Gwen Stacy crying. So then he, soothes her as much as he can. She's bummed out. She's a bad mom, right? Her mom's real a-hole, let's say. Right. And so she's dealing with mother issues, and then finally Peter gets away, gets out of high school, swings out of, well, I guess his high school is in Manhattan, swings to the incident, and then the last page we find Iron Man has already taken care of, no, that's the next page. Iron Man has already taken care of Rhino with no explanation. I don't know, to be honest. This is the first time we see Iron Man in the Ultimate Universe. First time I've seen him. But it's just great. He's just there. He's holding him in like this stasis bubble, I guess, or something very comic booky. Yeah. And but that was a really creative comic book. I thought that was just
what I really liked about it is
super well done.
Say that you actually, and I'm aware out there to the viewers that there are no superheroes. I'm aware that this is fiction and not reality.
But what if there were?
But say that there was a costumed kid, and there was an emergency, and you'd never see it where he could just pop out of class, get to the emergency, and solve it. I thought that did a great job of throwing up all these realistic roadblocks of life that would happen just in that time that he's trying to get out of school. He's got like school to deal with, Aunt May to deal with, Gwen Stacy to deal with. There's Mary Jane. The football team throws a football at him. And
I forgot that. Yeah.
He's dealing with all these different levels of frustration, just trying to get out of school. And to me, that was always the thing that that was a level of reality in this comic book that I thought was really cool, because that's one of the things as far as teenage heroes goes that I've always found kind of stretches my suspension of disbelief, that they can just pop out of high school and go solve the problem.
Yeah, I agree. It's a really great single issue, like, and again, like, we don't see Rhino again. We don't see Iron Man again. It's just like, in this trade paperback, I should say. I'm sure we see them later, but like, yeah, it was just super well done. And again, it was almost like that issue where he just punches out Craven. It's just like this little simple ends. They're very movie-ish. Bendis. This is why I think Bendis does really well. He just has he does some things. He does comic book storytelling creatively, which is a unique talent, and so I appreciate it. But then we get into the public scrutiny issues, which again, the design of Ben Urich is just so creepy to me. He looks like what is he? He looks like
a Hamilton actor.
Oh yeah, Lin-Manuel
Miranda.
I think that's insulting to Lin-Manuel Miranda, but
I apologize then. That doesn't look like the Ben Urich I know.
Well, he looks like John Travolta from Welcome Back, Kotter with a goatee.
Welcome Back, Kotter. What a pull! I have a Welcome Back, Kotter lunchbox.
Well, there you go. So we find you don't have to show me, but like this whole book's about alternate or a different guy robbing banks as Spider-Man.
Yeah, fake Spider-Man.
Fake Spider-Man. And so the whole gist of this whole book is, you can take it off me now, but is basically, right, like, this guy's a criminal. He is, everyone thinks of Peter Parker as a criminal. The one, I think a good thing about this is, like, Peter Parker goes as Spider-Man to get this guy, and the cops are all waiting, and they're waiting for the guy inside. I don't know if he's in a bank or wherever he is. And then Peter Parker comes, and then they actually start shooting at him, and he gets shot in the shoulder. And there's a really great Mary Jane moment where he doesn't know what to do. So he calls Mary Jane. And so together they kind of sneak him into a hospital, because obviously you can't go into a hospital with a bullet wound and not try to explain it. And so so he goes in there, and it's really well done. And she gets out of there. And then as they patch him up, and then he escapes through the ceiling, and then we find out that he also has like a healing factor. He heals faster than normal, which is good. And the rest of this book is about some reason Gwen Stacy's dad decides that Gwen Stacy should stay with Peter and Aunt May, which, I mean, I'll tell you what,
that was weird.
Yeah, Mary Jane is he's the worst boyfriend in the world. I mean, and again, it's set up that it's not really Peter's fault, but I would have a real problem if my girlfriend's family accepted like some hunky dude who was having family issues. I'd be like, I'm not cool with this, And Mary Jane was as cool as she could be with it, and then eventually she's like, I'm not cool anymore, and I get it. So he as most cops in the world do, they go to Atlantic City for a convention of some sort. Is this because they're fighting about her staying? Yeah. In the basement, as he's washing his underwear, as Superman and other heroes have to do.
Right.
So they fight, and I kind of get it. Mary, she doesn't even. I for the life of me, I don't quite understand why Gwen Stacy doesn't go stay with Mary Jane, because they seem to be friends too, and kind of would. If I was Peter, I would suggest that, because that might solve a lot of my problems. But that's me. That's how I handle it.
Here's the part where he gets shot in the shoulder.
Yeah.
That happens.
Oh, he's in handcuffs. He breaks the cuffs. Very well done. That's a cool issue. And but then what happens is Gwen Stacy's dad goes to his convention in Atlantic City, and of course, at that very same time, the fake Spider-Man is there robbing people. Yes, right. There he is, robbing a truck, a Brinks truck of some sort.
Truck, yeah.
And so as that would happen, of course, he throws a backpack filled with explosives, as one does. And Gwen Stacy's dad, Captain Stacy, the ever hero he was, saved a kid and blew himself to bits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we find out that the cops are there. We find out that Gwen Stacy's dad has been killed. We continue to find out that Gwen Stacy's mom is still a piece of shit and that doesn't want her.
I know. So, how piece of shitty, what an awful woman.
Yeah.
This is where, this is where this happens, where the bag gets thrown, some little kid.
There's the one thing I liked about the series before is there was a lot of time and explanation given to the bad guys, right? Green Goblin, Craven, Doc Ock, and the fake Spider-Man gets no explanation. How does that guy have spider webs? He has webs, like shoot out of his wrist, like Peter Parker. Peter Parker is a scientific genius that took his father's, experiments to make, and so and this guy's super fit, and he basically he can do everything Peter Parker can do except for stick to walls, as far as I can tell, and there's really no explanation. He's just, and then ultimately, so then there's of course this confrontation between real Spider-Man and fake Spider-Man, and they have a pretty cool battle. Peter Parker is going to really mess up fake Spider-Man and stops himself and demasks him. And again, Mark Bagley is a great artist, but sometimes his faces are I'm like, I'm looking at it. Is that supposed to be someone I know? Do I not know them? He kind of looks like Peter Parker with curly hair. What, but I think it's just a dude, right? And
some guy, he says.
Just a kid, yeah. And so Peter Parker wraps him up in spider webs and says, "This is from the real Spider-Man." And then that guy, of course, confesses to everything, clearing real Spider-Man from misdeeds and crime.
And Spider-Man almost kills him.
Now, I don't blame him.
No, I don't either.
This is why we would be bad Spider-Men.
And then the issue ends with Peter being told that Gwenny's going to be living with him.
Which would be as a hormonal teenager or as a 47-year-old man, I would be into that on every level. So,
this is just not realistic. It is every teenager's dream.
Yeah, but the one thing I will say is that he does build that they are just friends. And I, to be fair, I don't know what happens later. In the real Spider-Man world, Gwen Stacy obviously becomes the girlfriend, so I don't really know where this is going to lead. But I will say that there is no creepiness on their part. It is more like circumstances. Aunt May is being a real good person, taking her in, and I will say that that's well done or nicely done, and but as we talked about before we got on, and then at the very end of the issue, Mary Jane dumps Peter justifiably because she, on the bleachers, because I think it's Gwen Stacy. It's being, and she even says like dating Spider-Man was pretty fun at first, but then dealing with your bullet wounds, and she says you're going to die. You're going to die. Exactly. Spoiler alert, but that might happen, and so she's like, I want out of this before, she says I stayed awake all night. And then also she was also kidnapped by the Green Goblin and dropped off a bridge. I mean, that's got to be pretty traumatic for anyone.
Yeah.
So show the last page when she walks off. Yeah. So that she's done. Never to be seen again, as far as I know.
We haven't got to the next issue yet.
Yeah, just joking. I don't know. To be fair, like I thought I'd read most of this, but I think this is where I stopped reading. I have every trade paperback, but it's where I collect everything and then don't read it. So this is one of those famous runs that I collected and didn't read. So this is because I will say the next run is Venom. The Geo's I remember Gio said this is what got him into comic books or got him into collecting. So,
Okay.
And again, like I was bagging on this one earlier when I was saying I didn't really love it, but like I obviously love that Rhino issue. I think the issue where he gets shot is really good. I just thought the coincidence of Captain Stacy being in Atlantic City, the fake Spider-Man being in Atlantic City, and then the no explanation of the fake Spider-Man's like prowess of being and having webs and but whatever. Yeah. It's comic books.
It pushed our suspension of disbelief a little too far. That one.
Well put.
But I really like Bendis's writing as far as making Peter, putting Peter in realistic situations, like trying to get out of high school to help with the Rhino issue. And I thought it was a great touch that Iron Man was already there, solved the thing, and all that hassle was for nothing. I just dug it.
It's also great. They don't even interact, him and Iron Man. You know what I mean? Like, in the old Marvel days, they would have they probably would have battled for 2 pages, and then taken Rhino together. But it was So again, it's funny that as we're talking about it, like when I got done with it, I was like, this wasn't one of my favorite runs, but it does have. And again, this is what I like about long runs like this. They get their time to breathe. You can not all of it's a home run, but the characterization is great. I still think MA's great, and Gwen Stacy is kind of just a vehicle for sadness and awfulness. So I hope her characterization grows a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of side with Mary Jane more than anyone, I think, in this. I get her point of view. And also I like how Peter is kind of a victim of his circumstances where Aunt May does this thing. I mean, they do talk about taking in Gwen Stacy together, but what's he going to do? Say no to his aunt about it? I don't know. It's just done well. It's blown. It's breathing well. It's, I'm still enjoying it very much. Yeah.
I agree.
I have all the Miles Morales omnibus and stuff, and I want to jump forward. But this is again my craziness is I want to read every Ultimate Spider-Man issue before Miles Morales becomes Ultimate Spider-Man, which is not necessary. I don't have to do that because
I'm doing that.
I know. I'm probably going to do it too, but this is
I want to have some lead in, and I want to have a lead into those omnis.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't know a lot about Miles, and so I want a lead into how he became and everything else, or whatever lead in there is to those issues. I want to read it, to those omnis rather.
All right, me too. All right, can I do my chat Omnidog suggests?
Yes, go right ahead.
I can't remember so long.
He has opinions, and he's happy to share them with you about the things he likes in life.
I can't remember. I finished. I talked about these earlier. These are the Richard Stark, Darwin Cook did
right there. Yeah,
the Parker books. So Darwin Cook did those. So these are what those are based on. I just finished it. There's 26 of them, and this is the last one, and I just finished it last week. They're all published by the Chicago Press, and they're just all great. I like some of them are better than others. It's almost like the Ultimate Spider-Man. There's a lot of breathing room. Some of them are better than others, but they're all just complete page turners. Which I wanted. I need something I can just churn through and I'm going to read them all again. I mean, I'll take a break for a while, but they are books that I'm going to keep and go through again because they just have a payoff. And also, Darwin Cook's getting he's getting the second big Martini volume, right? So I was going to buy the other books of his that weren't in that first one, but now I think I'm going to wait for that second one.
Right.
I do love it, and his adaptation is really close to the grit noir of the fiction, the Richard Stark books. But so I'm going to hold on and get the second Martini book, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
And
he has 2 that are still in small digest hardcover, those are going to be the ones that are included. I'm looking over to see if I can see what I can't see from here.
Do you have the 2 hardcovers that aren't collected?
Yeah, just a sec.
You don't have to get them. I was just wondering. Maybe you should sell me those, and then I don't have to buy the Martini edition.
Okay, just the same.
We're wheeling and dealing here on Ultimate Spider-Man, the #1 Ultimate Spider-Man podcast.
Yeah, they're
YouTube show. Yeah, those aren't. Yeah, those I've read both of those books in fiction. Those are cool. Yeah, I wish they were oversized. Yeah.
Yeah, they're undersized, which is weird.
Yeah, they're tiny.
Yeah, but they're gorgeous.
Yeah.
But there's also going to be Ed Brubaker stories, and I think maybe some other writers involved.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna get, and I want it to kind of pair with that Martini edition I have already, which I love. So, okay, I'm just glad they're doing it because and then when he died, it just seemed like I thought it was gonna just die with him, but
I thought so too. It's amazing that they could pull this off.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Okay, my other, I don't know if I'd recommend these, but I read them. I asked the real Omni Dog in the Omni Bros Live. These are the weirdest books. So there's 4 of them like this. What do you call them? Like widescreen. And they're 1 through 4, and then there's the book 0 they call, which is the opposite of that. I don't know, like
portrait.
Yeah. I'm a sucker for. I know you hate this kind, but I agree with you about Brian K. Vaughan's Private Eye. That it's too giant and tough to read. But these are the size of these, and I find very fun. I like the size, and the price point is pretty spot on. I don't $17.99 retail, so you probably get them for like $12, $10. But I will say I read these 2. I haven't read the other 3. They're okay. The art is truly amazing, and his design work and his use of color is just spot on. I love it. But writing wise, look at this.
Wow.
So it's almost Frank Miller-ish.
Yeah.
And like, so even like his page design, like here, he just does really cool stuff, but the writing is it's just okay. It's not. I'm gonna finish them. I bank everything on if I'm gonna reread it and then keep it. So I'm truly on the fence on this one right now.
Okay.
I might keep them because I love looking at them so much.
Yeah.
I just think the book shape is cool, and it's. Do you ever read, like, sometimes when I read comics, like I get confused on who's who, and then he also has like time jumps.
Yeah.
And I love it when they do different color schemes, or even like the old school Claremont when they would just be like back in 1968, or they just tell you what's going on. Like he does a lot of kind of like stuff like that where you're kind of like I got confused, and I'm easily confused, so it might just be my brain, but you know what I mean. And so I got a little confused on who's who, wins when. But that being said, I'm going to read the other ones, and like I said, and he even talks about in the back of this one how he's very influenced by Bruce Timm, and he didn't say Frank Miller, but he's got to be at some point. But
yeah, I bought all of them from a guy on the Omnibus page. I got all of them for a really good price, and I thought for this price, the art looks great, and if the story's pretty good for this price, it's a good deal.
And they read like a good action movie. You know what I mean? You'll read it in one sitting, less than 10 minutes, in a good way. And again, like his art is so good that it makes up for the. It's kind of like I heard you talk about Joelle Jones's Catwoman. I totally agree. Like I just I bought Lady Killer, and I haven't read Lady Killer, but I will again, and I think even you said Lady Killer is so much better in comparison. But like reading Catwoman will make me not want to read Lady Killer. I just think that Catwoman is really bad. Not bad. Bad's the wrong word. Just not good.
Yeah, it's got a problem with structure, I think, and Lady Killer is so well put together and so fun and so interesting and well thought out, and really, and the dialogue is fun and interesting, and there's a it shows you the fine line between good and evil and how she's torn, and that's the whole reason I bought the Catwoman books.
Yeah,
because I loved Lady Killer so much.
Well, I think everything you just said about Lady Killers doesn't apply to Catwoman. It's not that fun. Yeah. It's not that well thought out. And like,
no.
And she kind of sets up this weird woman. The bad guy's a woman who has a lot of facial surgeries and stuff.
Right.
It's kind of cool, but I didn't feel like she was fleshed out. And then I didn't read the third one. I got through the second one, and she brings back her beloved son who's dead, who's like a zombie or what. And also, like, she doesn't do this art in the second book at all, which I was like, what the fuck am I buying a Joelle Jones book without her doing the art,
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. And then the third book made no sense whatsoever. It was a zombie thing. I wrote Taylor and I said, is this part of DC Deceased? Am I missing something? He goes, no, it has nothing to do with it. I said,
so the zombie son is a bigger part of it or whatever?
I don't know. These zombies come out of nowhere and in this small part of Florida, and I can't remember what even the reason was they were there. I thought it had something to do with whatever the event was, and no, it was just zombies out of nowhere. So,
well, and also a lot of times you see these writers and like, this doesn't need to be a Catwoman story. Like there's no Selena Kyle.
Well, that's a good point.
Necessity to this, which can happen. I mean, I've read Punisher stories that are whatever, Wolverine story. We've all read stories that are just tagged onto the character, which sometimes works. But I just feel like this doesn't work, and I don't feel like she has a real handle on what Catwoman is and what she went through. Like, and even like the leaving Bruce, not marrying Bruce Wayne is just done like in a one-page panel kind of, I don't know. It's just, like I said, it doesn't feel like a Catwoman story to me, and it doesn't need to be.
Yeah. Again, I realize these are comic book characters, but to me, after a traumatic, huge life-altering decision like she made in Batman 50, I would see her doing something. Of course, this doesn't make a good comic book, but doing something more contemplative and a little low key, just to sort of gather herself and just try to make herself whole again. And then, I can see her going for that, and then things happen to pull her into her Catwoman
phase. Or even the exact opposite. Go crazily living life on the edge, kind of like, you know what I mean? Or, like borderline suicidal because you just, or whatever, you just know what's or whatever. But also, this doesn't have either one of it. It's like there's like different, like the woman who needs the facial surgery, her husband's like the governor or whatever. She hires all these other women to dress up as Catwoman, and then I don't even know what that's about. And then
that was copycats, and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, so it's just it's a mess. I gave those away too. Like I read 1 and 2, and I was gonna again. I was based on if I want to like hold shelf space for these, and I was like, I was disappointed because even her good art doesn't hold up. Like I've looked through Lady Killers, and I think even if I don't love it, and I think I will like it, but even if I don't, the art in that is so much better to me than the Catwoman art.
Oh yeah,
and so it's like I hold on to it.
That's the other thing that it's got going for it. Not only is that a great story, but her art is like peak Joelle Jones. I mean, it's just top.
It's better colored, I think. It's got that 50s brighter. The Catwoman stuff is so dark and it's muddied and purplish, and it's just kind of a not a great success on any level. All right, my last recommendation, and Jess, I know you you're starving for TV shows. You're starving for things to watch, but I will tell you, the missus and I are watching Perry Mason on HBO Max.
So is Taylor.
It is phenomenal, dude.
That's what he said.
Phenomenal. Like, stars Matthew Rice. I don't know how you say it. He was a guy from the The Americans.
Okay.
And he plays. And again, I never really watched Perry Mason. I watched the reruns. Some I kind of obviously know it, and but he plays Perry Mason, who is at the beginning of the show, Private Eye, and it's in the 30s. It's 1931, turning to 32, and I've never read it. Excuse me, I can't remember who wrote it. Something Earl Gardner. But I looked it up. There's like literally like 80 Perry Mason books and stories. You know, it's one of those guys that wrote millions of them. And but I haven't read any of those, but I've read a ton, if not all, of like Raymond Chandler and Dashiell Hammett. And it reads to me, and I love like Humphrey Bogart noir. I'm a huge noir fan. I've seen most of those, but like this seems like a film noir movie that they would have made in the 40s, but like stretched out and breathed, you know, it allows characterization. And it's just, it reminds me of like a Dashiell Hammett book in a lot of ways, you know, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's given his characters time to grow and it has like this weird kind of religious cult, which I think a Dashiell Hammett book had that I read. You know, so it's just, I don't know. It's just, we're loving it. It's what I do find annoying is HBO Max releases everything once a week. And so, you know, and I want to binge that shit in a weekend, but so we're waiting. But I highly recommend it. It's very good. Yeah. You got to get me on the crime corner. I'm a huge crime fan.
Okay.
We got so
talk about shows that I'll never get a chance to see.
Well, I could read a comic book that you guys are talking about. Yeah, exactly. Taylor and I could sit there and talk about TV shows, and you could sit there and say, "I'm still watching season 1 of Legion." You know,
I am so backed up on so many shows.
You gotta just quit Legion.
I'm halfway through season 3, so I'm almost done.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
because the other thing we watched, and this isn't going to be shocking, it was Doom Patrol, and that is solid.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I
really good.
Bought the Blu-ray of it and swamped
You're joking.
No, I did. They were on sale for like $10 at Best Buy, and Omar said, "Jess, get these. They're great. $10 each." And so I go, "Okay." And they're just languishing in the library of forgotten DVDs.
And now it's streaming on HBO Max. I don't know if you got HBO Max.
I don't.
You should. It's in these interesting times of the streaming wars, I would put HBO Max real high on what I would not get rid of.
Okay.
Because they have all the HBO shows, and they're weirdly getting like Doom Patrol. They must have like a deal with Warner Brothers because they have a lot of the DC movies.
I think HBO might be owned by that conglomerate.
They probably are, to be fair.
Yeah.
But they also have a ton of like old movies, and I find myself going there more than I thought I would. So
yeah,
it's worth it.
Okay, cool. Well, I definitely want to see Perry Mason, and I want to see that other show you recommended, Bosch. So
Bosch is great. Gabe holds it a little higher esteem than I would, but it's a great cop show. I love
Gabe. What's Gabe got to do with it?
Gabe's the one that always talks about how great it is.
Oh,
Anonymous Rose Live. He says it's like so, and I really love it, but like it's it's top 10, not top 5 for me of cop shows.
Good.
But I love. But Amazon drops those and drops every one of them, so I watch those things in like 2 days because I'm an addict.
You're a binger.
I'm a classic binger. So I have a lot of time on my hands. I don't read that many comic books anymore, so I watch a lot of stuff on stream. But yeah, so check out Perry Mason. I think it's in this 5th episode out of 8. Oh, the kind of funny thing is Robert Downey Jr. is an executive producer, and he was going to star in it. But then he had schedule conflicts. So the whole time you watch it, you think, I'm watching going, oh, I think Robert Downey Jr. would have been better in this.
Oh, what? Did he have to go do Dr. Doolittle or something?
Probably, or something terrible. Yeah, I have no idea. Because, yeah, you're right. This would have been filmed like, what, a year and a half ago? Easily?
I think so, yeah.
I don't know maybe an Iron Man commitment. I don't know what, but he was supposed to star in it. And he does executive produce it, but And to be fair, the guy who's in it is very good. It's just like, but I don't know, like the whole time you watch, because he's kind of like a down and out kind of alcoholic private detective, and who does that better than Robert Downey Jr. Right?
Right.
So don't be dissuaded, but it's good. You'll like it.
Okay. Good recommendations.
And your missus might like it too. I know I'm always trying to find something I watch with my wife,
right,
that we'll like together. And well, I don't know where she stands on crime stuff, but she might like.
I think as long as it's not too dark, she's okay with it.
This isn't
True Detective was too dark for her. I liked it, but it was too dark for her.
This is not as dark as True Detective.
Okay,
but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's yeah. This is not. This is in the written in the 40s, but modern. It does have boobies, and they say fuck. Which,
okay.
Which apparently in the 1940s really happened. I didn't know they even said fuck or showed boobies in the 1940s, but apparently they did.
Wow. Revelation.
Exactly. Jess, can you confirm that? Did you see boobies in the 1940s? Just joking.
I did not. You spud you.
Yeah. Oh, good. Not until the 1960s.
No, not till the 1970s, quite frankly.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
This has been a very fun episode of Ultimate Spiderdays.
Hold on, I'm trying to think when I saw my first set of real boobies. It would have been the 90s.
Oh, mine was in the early 70s.
Early 90s. Maybe 1990. So
okay.
And it only got better from there. Anyway, sorry for that crazy ending.
No, that was fine. That's part of what I like is the back and forth between you and I, just talking stuff and recommending
tangents,
suggesting things to people. That's what I like about it. So that's cool.
Yeah, good. All right, buddy. Well, we will see you all next week.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
We're on a roll now. We'll be reading Venom next. We're all excited for that. Yep. And if you could like, subscribe, and feel free to comment, I'd appreciate it. And on behalf of Chat Omnidog and myself, thank you for watching, and peace and love.
Peace and love.